So hope everybody downloaded that PDF that I sent on the chat.
Yes, I downloaded it.
It's downloading right now.
Okay. It's a heavy file, so you can download. However, the same thing I'm gonna upload in the portal. So Vikas sir, I think uh, right time we can start now.
Yeah, hi Gaurav. Yeah, sure. Just give me a minute. I'll be sharing my screen and we'll discuss what are the things that we are going to cover today. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. And guys, this is a combination, like a combined batch for Palo Alto, Checkpoint, and F5 load balancer. So I think most of the people joined only for the Palo Alto. If in case you are interested for Fortinet or Checkpoint or F5, we are delivering that also. So we can discuss later on. So that's it.
So guys, good morning to everyone. And today what we are going to cover is we are going to see what are the fundamentals, how exactly a firewall works. And we'll also see what are the product line of Palo Alto as a company, what are the spaces they have captured and how they are working, how they are changing this industry right now with their technologies. So, and they securing the organizations. We'll try to see those things today. Okay. So let me share my screen and then we can start off. Okay. Okay. So guys, let me know once you see my screen.
Yes, it's visible.
Yes.
Yeah.
So first of all, we'll understand the fundamentals of firewall, how exactly works, what is stateless, what is stateful, how that traditional packet filtering works, the firewall works. We will try to cover that, and then we go understand what are the spaces the Palo Alto has their product and product line, how it is working. So we'll try to do that. So let me open a whiteboard session for you guys. So open a notepad. Okay. And also, yeah. So guys, first of all, we'll try to understand how a firewall works. Okay. How the fundamentals are, how stateful and stateless firewall works, what is access lists, how a policy works. Those things we are going to understand. Okay. So let me draw some of the scenarios so that I'll make you understand from that particular scenario. So let's say we have this PC, okay, and this PC is connected to a switch. Okay, this switch is connected to a firewall, and this firewall is connected to, let's say, a router. Okay, and this router is connected to basically an internet. Okay. Now, if I talk about the traditional firewall, how exactly it used to work and how the evolution has started and how right now, how the next generation firewall basically works. Okay. I guess most of the guys or everyone has heard about OSI model, right? The layer 7 models, starting from application and it is going to physical layer, right? Now, if when the traffic initiates from this PC, okay, and it hits the firewall, okay. Now there are few things that you have to keep in mind at the start, okay. There are few information which will be giving by this PC, okay. For an example, source IP address, destination IP address, source port number, destination port number. This is a basic criteria which we have seen and which we are working right now. Okay, basically, whenever we create policy or in the router as well, when we create policy, we will keep this information with us so that we can understand, or we will be doing a lot of policies with the help of this information, right? And when we troubleshoot anything from the customer or the client is asking, like, we will be asking this information from them, basically not the source port number, but yeah, destination port number mostly. Okay, now for an example, when this traffic hits to Palo Alto firewall or any other firewall, okay, now what exactly the use of the firewall is? Basically restrict the traffic which is not legitimate or which you should not allow, maybe from your organization to internet or from internet to organization. Okay, so you have some criteria. Let's say if you want to enter into a building, they will be asking you, like in the office, they will be asking your ID card. So that is a a parameter to enter in that particular office. Same way, if somebody wants to go to internet, so some kind of criteria that we have to build in the policy so that it filters the traffic based on that, right? So that is the reason the source IP, destination IP, and destination port number will come into the picture. Even source port will come into the picture, but most of the cases will just consider the destination port for our when we create policies. Okay, will basically will not define the source port number, right? So now the traffic enters, and how exactly the access list works in basically on the router. Okay, now basically we will be having something called as standard access list and extended access list. Okay, standard access list, they only understand or they filter based on IP address. Okay, and this is called as access policy basically. Okay, and this is known as packet filter. Why it is called as packet filter? Because it is based on the IP header. Okay, in OSI model, if I talk about layer 3, what is the PDU, protocol data unit? That is called as packet, right? For layer 4 it is segment, for layer 2 it is frame, something like this, right? So same way, packet filtering means packet means whatever the information that you have in the IP header. So in IP header, what we have? The source IP address and the destination IP address. So I'm putting as a source IP address and I'm putting as a destination. So in standard access list, basically we used to define the source source IP address and the destination IP address, right? Now, if I talk about extended access list, it is now the evolution has come, and now we try to understand how HTTP works, how SMTP works. We have to put some kind of restrictions, right? So we started understanding the source IP address, destination IP address, as well as the port number. Port number means layer 4 information as well. So layer 4 information, maybe for HTTP is for 80. Okay, this is for 25. So we started giving access based on the port number. Okay, now think of a scenario wherein these are the criteria which are placed in it, and we understand that this is how we are going to secure the network during that time. Okay, now we will be having a lot more information about it. Now the packet filters will only be limited to this. Okay, now we have a lot more things about it. Okay, now the packet filter, you just think about the scenario. Let's say somebody goes from inside to outside. Okay, goes to a firewall. Firewall sees this traffic, this parameters. It allows the traffic. Okay, the traffic goes to internet. Okay, now for an example, for simplicity, I'm just taking some of the example as some parameters. Okay, so for an example, I have a source. Let's say I'm just putting a number instead of IP address. I'm just putting a number. Okay, for simplicity. Now source IP address is 1, destination IP address is 2, and destination port number is 3. Fine. And source port number is, let's say, 4. Okay, or like this. Fine. The traffic goes, and we have created the policy saying that the source port number is 1, destination port number is 2, and destination port number is, let's say, 3. Okay, maybe I'll rub this out and I will try to. Okay, we have created an access list and we are allowing that connection to internet. Now once the traffic returns, okay, when the traffic is returning from this, what would be my source? Source will be 2, right? Destination will be 1, destination port will be 4, and the source port will be 3. Got it? These traffic enters and it comes to this firewall. Whether we have any rule, something like that, yes or no? Anybody?
Yes.
We have rule like this.
No. We don't have rule like that. We have the rule to enable the connectivity from source 1 to destination 2, but not for source 2 to destination 1.
Right. So whenever this traffic comes to the firewall, it basically denies it. The firewall will deny it. So again, we have to write a rule saying that if the source is 2, destination is 1, and destination port is 4, and source port is 3. We create this policy basically. So what we are creating 2 policies. One for policy 1, this looks like, and the policy 2 looks like this, to allow the connection from inside and to allow the connection from outside. Now you are thinking, yeah.
Means we have a create on firewall to both end policy. It's out inbound incoming traffic and outgoing traffic.
Yes.
Then it will be complicated.
Yes. So in access or packet filtering, this is how basically we need to create the traffic. Otherwise, it won't work. Okay. So we have to create a policy 1 and we have to create a policy 2. Okay. So the traffic goes outside and come from outside. Okay. Now think about a scenario wherein you are coming from outside, as this outside IP or the destination IP will be an external or a public IP address, right? A public IP address. And allowing the public IP address on my perimeter firewall, or the firewall which is connected basically to internet, I'm allowing an external IP address. Now I'm just thinking a scenario right now, a single scenario. If I think about multiple scenarios or multiple IP addresses, it's a threat, right, for us? Nowadays, Back in the days, it was like this, but nowadays it is been not like this. Okay. This is known as stateless firewall as well. Now we have something called as stateful, which is been designed or invented by Checkpoint. Okay. And the guy who was involved in that particular research, he is the founder for Palo Alto. He was involved in it, like he was part of that particular team. Okay. He actually founded Palo Alto. Okay. Now, how this stateful firewall works, let me explain you in a very simple term. Okay. So let's say this is a PC. Okay. Now this PC is connected to this switch. The same scenario. Now we have firewall, and this firewall is connected to a router, and this router is again connected to this internet, right? Now let's say this PC is initiating the same connection. Now the source is 1. Quickly, I'll be writing it. Source port is, let's say, 3. Destination port is 4. Traffic reaches to firewall. Okay. Now you see is that we have a policy for that. Okay. Now it allows the connection. It goes to internet, right? Goes to internet, and maybe it goes to some web server, and the web server is replying to that particular connection. Okay. Now, so the source port is the source, destination, source port, and destination port. We'll just write it out. 2, 1, 4, 3. Fine. Now they have made the firewall little intelligent, and for that reason, it actually takes this firewall. Basically, it takes this session, and he will keep in his state table or connection table, whatever you want to say, you can say that way, and keep in his memory. Okay. And whenever a return traffic comes to the firewall, it basically sees that information and allow that return traffic. And this is only for that particular session. It is not that it is always be open. So whenever the traffic goes to the firewall, a session ID will get created. So session ID, you can say something like this: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm just telling you a very simple numbers. This number will be little other way around from the firewall. Okay. This is for simplicity. Okay. Now this session ID, whenever this session ID gets created, when the traffic is allowed. Okay. Now once it is allowed, a session ID will get created, and only for this session, whenever the session is there, during that time only this return traffic or this communication will be happening. During that time, this rule exists. This particular a temporary rule will be there basically, and when this session is removed or deleted, or whenever the communication is finished, this session will be deleted, and this rule will be deleted basically. But this rule will be there because we are going to create this rule, right? So only one policy will be applicable over here. Yeah, go on.
That's been hello.
Yeah.
I have a question that suppose first time is going to make a connection through firewall. Huh? How could it determine what is the destination? Suppose it's Google or something else site, because it's not possible for us to manually enter each and every URL every time. So how the firewall deal with this situation?
So you are saying that if somebody, if the PC wants to go to google.com, how he gets to know about the destination IP address?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. So now whenever a PC, whenever you type www.google.com, okay, first the DNS will come into the picture. Okay. Now, whatever DNS IP address you have defined, the destination IP address will be the DNS IP address.
So DNS IP should be allowed in a firewall.
Yes, absolutely correct. You have to allow the DNS IP address. Otherwise, they will not be able to communicate to each other, right?
Okay.
Yeah. Good question. Okay. So,
So,
and
like,
it
how
will
many,
be, yeah, go on.
sir, how many policies
How many policy?
is there any limit to create a policy for this stateful firewall? Like, there is any limit, any number of limit, like how much policy we can create
Okay.
as a job?
In the stateful firewall, it depends
Yes.
on model to model, vendor to vendor. It actually defines as per your in Palo Alto, as per your license as well, how much session that you are allowed through the firewall. Let's say in Palo Alto firewall, you have license, you have got the license, and it allows only 1,000 connection. If it is a lower model or a VM model, something like that. So only 1,000 sessions will be allowed. Policy you can make it, like maybe 1,000 policy you can make it, but only 1,000 sessions will be allowed. The concurrent session will only be 1,000. And policy, if I talk about policy as you have asked, it depends on the resources. If you are creating a firewall, it is very less, and you are creating 10,000 policies, and then in that case, always but utilization will be 100%, because he has to come and he has to check all 10,000 rules every time. So it depends on the model that you are buying, the version that you are going through.
So the basic difference stateful at stateless firewall means in stateful we need not
Excuse
create
me.
the return part.
It would be
Yes,
better
it
if we
automatically
ask one
creates.
by one question or answer one by one, sir. My question is still unanswerable.
Yeah, please go on, please.
Sir, the same question you are explaining that go to DNS and further it will come. What happened next, sir? How the firewall knows and create the rule for unknown sites or traffic?
Okay. So basically, first of all, the DNS will come into the picture. Okay. And first it'll go to google.com. Basically, it finds the IP address of google.com. So for an example, I found the IP address 1.1. So whatever the DNS IP address, so the source will be your PC IP address, the destination will be your DNS IP address, the source port will be a random port number, for example 22,000, something like that, and destination port will be 53, UDP 53. Okay, the traffic goes here, and this will be getting recorded in the firewall. Whenever the traffic comes, it allows the firewall and he gets the IP address. So once he gets the IP address from the DNS reply, now what the source will be the PC IP address, the destination will be 1.1.1.1. So Google IP address is 1.1.1. Okay, now you are going https google.com. So my source IP address will be again a random 23,000 port number, and destination port will be 443. Now this connection will go to the firewall, and it goes to google.com, and return traffic comes and it allows. So you need one policy for DNS, and you need another policy for google.com. Okay,
So we
now
have to create it, or it will automatically firewall
no, it will not
grasp
create it. It will not create it. You have to allow a new policy, and you have to mention the destination number. Okay, now how you are going to deal with that particular google.com? Now you have to create an object. Okay, you have to create an object, and you say that if source is PC and destination is google.com, okay, and the source port is something else, whatever the random number, and the destination port is 443, you allow that connection. Okay. Now, whenever you create an object, you have to define google.com. Okay. And basically that google.com will be resolved by your firewall. It goes to DNS, it resolves. So he will be getting the same IP address as your DNS has got it. Okay. So meaning that whenever you define a URL, the DNS what you define for your PC, you have to define the same DNS for your firewall as well. The firewall will also do a DNS, and it creates a basically a rule. Okay. It doesn't deal with that particular URL. It resolves and it creates a, whenever you go to the CLI, you will see that particular IP address exists. It writes a rule saying that if source is this, the destination, he will not mention as google.com. He'll mention as a public IP address of google.com. So if the PC is having the same IP address as a destination, it basically allows that connection. You got it?
Yes, sir. I will ask further advanced question when it will go through that. Thank
Yes, yeah, definitely. We'll go to the object whenever we create that particular object. I'll take your question again and I'll explain you so that it will be visible, and I would be able to explain that.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, go on.
Hi, Vikas Fubali this side.
Yeah.
Yeah, hi. So I have a question over here. You said that in stateful firewall, that the one that we are discussing right now, the source packet is stored into the firewall. That session is stored in the memory.
Yes, yeah.
So is there any particular timer for which it is stored over there? Because it
Yes.
would actually get flushed after a certain limit of time, right?
Yes, absolutely correct. So TCP traffic or UDP traffic have some timeout. So you can set that particular timeout for your connection as well. It is not individual policies, but it is a global policy. If it is a TCP connection, or if it is a UDP connection or any other connection, you have a timeout value which is defined, and that is customizable. So let's say if I define 1 minute. So if in 1 minute, if there is no transaction that is happening for that particular session, it will be automatically flushed out from the firewall. Okay.
Okay.
By default, there is a number of, I guess, 5 minutes or something. If there is no communication that is happening from source to destination, it will be flushed out from your memory.
And this setting is to be done inside the firewall itself, right?
Yes, by default it is there. You can change it as well.
Customize as well. Okay. Yeah. Thanks.
Okay. So this is all about the packet filtering, the stateful, the stateless, all those things. It has a state table, it has connection table, it has so many other things, the session and all. Okay. Any other questions, guys? No? Yes?
Sir, as ma'am said that it will be flushed out after the limited time. So these policies we need to create every time, or it will be sustained if we increase the timing?
This policy, the return policy, which is temporarily created, it will be also deleted. Now, whenever after, let's say, after 5 minutes, if it is removed, or 1 minute after it removes, again there will be a new connection or new checking will be there. Okay. Now I'll talk about some other thing, like maybe in the upcoming session I'll be talking about it understand the TCP state, like it should be a ACK packet, or sorry, a SYN packet, or SYN ACK packet, or ACK acknowledgement packet. It also understands the three-way handshake as well. We'll talk about that as well. Okay. So now let's say if after 1 minute or 5 minutes, if this is removed from the table, again it that whenever traffic comes from the PC side, new sessions will be created, and it allows the return traffic basically as accordingly.
Basically,
Sir,
session got deleted and not policies.
No, no,
Means
not
you are
policy.
saying
No, not policy.
means
It
you
is
are
only the sessions will get deleted, meaning the temporary return traffic policy will be deleted. Return traffic policy. So whatever
Thank you, sir.
policy that you are creating, only the return traffic will be return traffic policy, which is temporarily created, will be deleted basically.
means after creating a new after coming a new traffic, then session will be automatically created the session
Yes, but it has to match whatever the policy that you have created from source to destination basically.
according to the policy.
Yes.
Okay, right.
Got it? Okay. Fine, guys. So this is how basically the traditional or the stateful, or how can I say that the stateful stateless firewall works. Okay. Nowadays, it goes beyond that. Not only the IP address, not only the destination IP address, not only the destination port number, it also understand your application as well. Okay, application meaning that if you are going to WhatsApp, right? If you are going to Facebook, if you are going to YouTube, if you are using torrent, it understands that particular application. So in OSI model, we have the three starting, the application or the session, the presentation, the session, it is called as data, right? Combined. Then we have segment, then we have packet, then we have frame, then we have physical like bits and something. So it understands the data as well in that category. Okay, so it goes to that particular application and it understands the application behavior. In Facebook, what is needs to be blocked, in WhatsApp, what needs to be blocked, in YouTube, what needs to be blocked, whether I need to block a whole torrent, a whole Facebook, or whole YouTube. It understands that way as well, because we are moving to application world right nowadays. So the firewall has to be intelligent and he needs to block those information as well. Okay, now in Palo Alto will understand these URL filtering, the app control, all those things we are going to understand in this session. How exactly it blocks, what are the ways it understands the application. So these are the things that we are going to understand. Okay, it will be a interesting and excitement. Okay, any other question, guys?
One question.
Yeah, go on,
Like
please.
we have already allowed access policy to enable a connection from
Your
application.
voice is not clear. If you can just speak a little louder or something.
Is it clear now?
A little bit.
Yeah. So I was questioning like if we allowed a connectivity from an application to outside network, but
Outside.
yeah, but through application we are accessing another application for which the policy is not there. So in this scenario, like how we are able to place the policy?
If you are not aware of the about the policy, okay, and let's say for an example, you go to a website, okay, a website that is hosted games, okay, you have a firewall and you have a PC. Somebody from an organization tries to go to this particular website, okay. Now during this the firewall will try to understand. There are two ways it understands. One is application, one is URL filtering. So a URL filtering, a URL categories will be there. Okay. Or in a simple, a common scenario, what I can say is whenever if you wants to go to a website, or basically whatever the policy that is defined in the firewall. Okay, now we have some criteria: source IP address, destination IP address, or destination. I cannot say always be an IP address. It can be a URL or it can be something else. If it is not there, there will be always a policy which actually denies all. The organization will always be allowed which is known to them, and it doesn't allow which is unknown to them, basically, in most of the scenarios. Okay, if whatever it is defined, it will be allowed, and whatever it is not defined, it will be denied by default. Okay, now you were saying, your question is, let's say if I am going to an application which is an app, basically we have not defined anything, or maybe your destination IP is not defined, or how it recognizes that whether we should allow that particular connection to that particular application or not. This is your question, right? If I understand you correctly,
No.
because
Actually,
your sound was not properly.
yeah, no. Actually, I was asking, like, suppose if you are opening a, like, for example, if you are opening an Facebook app, okay,
Okay.
and through Facebook app, there we see a advertisement, and if
Okay.
we click on advertisement, it opens another web page.
Web page.
Okay.
Okay. Mhm.
So in this scenario, it should be enabled. But while the user try to access this particular page,
Mhm.
like from which we access the this second link, it
Mhm.
shouldn't be allowed. So how
Mhm.
can we achieve this?
Okay, inside the Facebook, if somebody is clicking on ad, whether that particular will be allowed or
Yes.
not, basically.
No.
It's an inner layer of that particular application. It is showing some kind of ad. How the firewall will understand that, whether it allows that, it is denies that, or how it is.
Yeah, actually, if the like access is enabled from Facebook, then it should be allowed. But if the same access to that site is enabled from the user PC, it should not be allowed. How can we achieve this thing?
First of all, see, the Facebook is an application. It understand that, right? Now you are clicking on this ad. Now ad has some different URL.
Yeah.
Okay. Now there will be a new connection which will be basically initiated, or the, because we have clicked on that particular URL, right?
Yes.
So for an example, if I go to google.com, okay, I can see Gmail over there, right? I click on the Gmail. Now a new session will get initiated, or new sessions will get initiated. Now whenever I go to this particular advertisement, okay, now that kind of criteria will be inspected in the firewall. Okay, if that particular that's what I was telling. One is application, another is URL. Now that particular URL is categorized under some advertisement. That particular advertisement is allowed in your organization. If it is denied, basically, then in that case it will be denied. You will not be able to access that particular adware or advertisement or something like that. If it is not there, if that particular criteria is not there, and if it is allowed all for that particular thing, then it will be allowed, basically. Most of the time it should not be allowed. These kind of ads, or this kind of adware, will be basically blocked by default in the Palo Alto. You have to go and specifically define that we have to allow it, something like that. I will show you. We have something called as in the URL filtering itself, or in application filtering itself, we have something called as ad aware, or those things are there which you will not be able to see. Even that advertisement you will not be able to see in
No,
your Facebook.
actually, I came as I work into industry, so I came into this scenario where we allowed the like access of a particular application, but the application itself was not working. Like when we entered the data into that particular application, it was supposed to access another page. There some calculation.
It was getting redirected to some
Yeah.
other URL.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but that redirection wasn't allowed from our firewall. So it was getting a connection denied. But at the our end, we are already enabled place the rule to enable the communication with the application. So while we checked in the traffic log itself, it was showing like the access is allowed and there isn't any blockage. But still at the background, if we check the communication like to the redirected site was not taking place.
For this reason, we have so many other things as well. The DNS record, whether that particular DNS record is proper or not. Let's say if I'm redirecting google.com to some other website, which is that DNS name is not genuine or that DNS name is not proper. In that case, it will be blocked at the DNS level as well. So it doesn't mean, and some of the redirection also requires some kind of flash enabling thing, because Adobe that flash is there, right? It is that particular website is based on, or it is made on that particular Adobe code or a flash code or something like that. In that case also it will be blocked. You have to allow that particularly, then only it will be working. Or there are some other parameters at the URL level that you need to be allowed, then only that will be working. That redirection website has so many other issues if it goes to a proxy or a firewall. Basically, I have seen in my organization as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
We will get an lab implementation of these kind of scenario, correct?
Yes, we will be getting. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Thanks.
Okay. Okay.
So Vikas, I have one question regarding this. The same question. So you are saying that if we are allowing Facebook on the firewall, right? And the same guy asked a question that we want to deny any advertisements which are coming on the Facebook. If I click on that advertisement, it will redirect me to any third website, right? So you are saying, as I understand, according to your solution, is that can, if we already know that this third party website, if we already know the third party website, we can get a rule to block it, so it will not open, right?
Yes.
So is there any way, because I don't know that if I'm going to open the Facebook, what kind of ads will be coming up in the Facebook, right? So is there any way that I can create that if I will click on any website, either I know this advertisement URL, or if I don't know that URL, it will automatically will not open the website?
Basically, that advertisement you will not see, first of all. I'm just saying for a scenario where, but most of the time you will not see that particular, because the Palo Alto is so smart that you are allowing the only Facebook connection. It doesn't allow any advertisement inside that. Advertisement will be loaded from another server, right? The Facebook will be hosted in another server, as he has paid something to Facebook to advertise himself. So that particular traffic or that particular advertisement will be in another server. So it doesn't allow that particular advertisement to display in your Facebook itself.
Because sorry to interrupt. So can I go ahead and answer that question? Like he's asking that he has a policy to allow Facebook, and inside the Facebook, and if you are clicking any of the advertisement, you need to block that. That's your question. So basically, when you are configuring a firewall, you have an implicit deny at the end of the security policy. So you will create a policy to allow facebook.com, and when you click on a link, and if it contains the another URL like something twitter.com, if there is in the advertisement, if you click on that, and if you don't have any policy for that allowed, it will hit the implicit deny, and it will denied by the firewall. So only what policy you have allowed will get allowed.
Yes, And all the other thing is, if I talk about you are not going to define that particularly facebook.com, you will be adding as this is an application. Okay, it understand it is an application. The Palo Alto understand it is an application. Now in that application, it understands the signature, it understands the format or the traffic behavior of that particular application, the facebook.com, right? So it allows that only Facebook, it doesn't allow any other advertisement ought to show in that particularly.
Okay, so but in case of if we need to enable that app ID, we should enable SSL decryption as well, right? Then only
Yes,
firewall
yes,
will
yes,
know that,
yes,
right?
yes, yes. I will come to that SSL decryption and all those things.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, thank you so much for your questions.
Yeah, welcome.
Okay, now we'll understand from Palo Alto as a company what they offer, what are the products they are having. All those things will be getting into it. Okay, so now let's say we have three categories for Palo Alto. Okay, and we have something called as data lake. Okay, one is Stata, another is Prisma, and the other one is Cortex, right? And there is a data lake in this. Okay, our course will be focuses on Stata, not on Prisma, not on Cortex, but we'll try to understand things. Secure the enterprise, secure the cloud, and secure the future. As the name suggests itself, enterprise, when you have a physical device or a virtual device, whether you want to protect your internet parameters or whether you want to protect your data center, branch, IoT device, endpoints, everything, all every places you have a device for it. You have a filtering for that, whether you have to secure it. Everything is possible, and that solution we will be having, and we'll talk about that as well. Okay. Guys, please go on mute. I guess we have a few background noise. I will do it. Just give me a minute. Mute. Okay, fine, guys. Thank you. Okay. Now, Prisma is nothing but we are going to secure our cloud. Securing our cloud doesn't mean that we have a virtual device and we are placing a virtual Palo Alto firewall in the cloud and we are protecting. No, 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 no. Prisma, it's a service. Okay. Let's say the way how we get it, software as a service, right? In AWS or Azure on cloud, same way Prisma is something like a firewall as a service. Okay, now you can take the service and you can basically create your own policies. You can create your global protect, and in whatever it is possible in the device, you can basically, not all, but you have a lot of options that you can do it. Maybe configuring a remote VPN, configuring a site-to-site VPN, that is possible in Prisma as well. So firewall as a service. Okay, creating policies, creating global protect, and other things as well, right? Now we have something called as Cortex. Now Cortex is a service that you can take it, and it is one of the best services for SOC, the cyber security guys. How they do is they basically we have some kind of intelligence that is built in that particular services. Okay, with that particular, it understands the behavior of your network traffic and it generates the alert, inform the network administrator or a security administrator, and it shows that kind of threat. Or maybe let's say you create some kind of rule that somebody is having 1000 connection from one single source at a single point of time. If you see that kind of connection, you maybe generate an alert saying that DDoS attack can be a threat, or maybe some kind of alert that you generate, so that the administrator will start investigating that kind of scenarios. Or this is just a single scenario. There are a lot many scenarios. will be there. Okay. Now we have something called as automation and orchestration as well, as we can do some kind of automation in case of threat intelligence, or maybe some kind of generating the alerts or something like that. And also we can do some kind of automation, some automation work for our firewalls, or maybe let's say if I want to configure let's say I want to change the syslog server IP address. So with the help of automation, we will be changing the we'll be logging to all the devices. Let's say we have 50 devices in our network. So with the help of automation, basically we will be able to do that in a very easy way. Okay. And we have something called as, if you have heard about Ansible Tower and all those things, from where we push the automation. There are a lot of commands for all other vendors. But in case of this orchestration or automation, it's very, very compatible with all the devices from Palo Alto. Okay. I have not explored with the different vendors right now, but yeah, with Palo Alto, it's very, very compatible, and you can do basically most of the things from this orchestration device. Okay. And the data lake. Data lake is nothing but all your logs. Let's say if you are on-prem, or whether you are from cloud, or whether you have taken some kind of orchestration or some kind of logs or threat intelligence kind of log, you can store all the logs in your data lake. Data lake is a cloud service which you can see, like maybe in Google Drive you see on cloud, or maybe you can see Apple iCloud or something. So that kind of service that you can get it online from Palo Alto, and you can store all your logs online. So whenever you want to access it, you can access it basically. Okay. Any question, guys? No? Yes? I guess we're good. Okay. Now, whenever you implement a Palo Alto firewall in your network, because as it has a complete visibility, when you have a complete visibility, basically, okay, so you can understand that if there is a vulnerability or something like that, you can fix it and you can reduce those attacks in your network. Okay. How it does it? It understands the known threats and it prevents the unknown threat, because we are going to allow what we know, right? Let's say if I am allowing HTTPS, means I'm going to allow only HTTPS. I'm not going to allow in that anything else. Okay. So in HTTP, we have so many attacks as well. Okay. And it fixes those because it understands all those behaviors. And if there is unknown threat, okay, it has a lot of layer to understand those information, and it basically allows or denies that kind of connection. We'll see how it understands the unknown threats. Okay. So whenever you have complete visibility, you can fix your vulnerabilities, and as it has a lot of signatures in it, I'll talk about signature, what it is. It prevents the threats and unknown threat. Why? Because it only allows what he knows. When he doesn't know, he will not allow that particular connection. So these are the key elements of Palo Alto firewall. Okay. Now we'll go in a detailed manner and we'll understand in securing the enterprise, what are the product they are having it. Okay. We have VM series, which we will be talking about in our course, and which the VM series will be using to do our practicals. Okay. CN series, it is only for Kubernetes and it's very small device. It doesn't have that resources. It doesn't basically, it is only for small Kubernetes devices. That's all. Okay. We have something called as subscription services. Okay, subscription services means like the licensing part, how the licensing works in NGFW, what are the capabilities of those devices, with those NGFW, what are the subscription model that is available in Palo Alto Firewall. Okay. The panorama is nothing but a manager. Okay, so you are sitting in one place in panorama and you are connected to all the firewalls in your network, and basically sitting at one place you can push the policies or you can implement the policies from sitting only one place, basically a single console, and you are implementing the policy to all the firewalls in your network. Maybe it can be 10, 20, 50, 100, something like that. Yeah.
Hi Vikas, question over here.
Yeah,
Is
please.
this panorama GUI based or CLI based?
It's a GUI based.
Okay.
Okay. Something like that. We have a management server in Checkpoint, right? We have a 40 manager in FortiGate, right? So same way we have panorama in Palo Alto. Okay. Wildfire is nothing but a way to detect a malware detection. So let's say if somebody is downloading some file, it contains some kind of malware in that. The Wildfire subscription will basically analyze those files and allows in your organization or denies. If he sees any suspicious file pattern, it basically denies it. Okay. We have global protect. Global protect is nothing but a way basically to for the remote users solution. So the way we have Cisco AnyConnect or 40 client, for the remote users we have something called as global protect. Global protect, the name itself says that globally if the user is moving towards any other places in the world, if they want to connect to resources of organization, they will be able to connect it, right? We have something called as Prisma Access. Prisma Access is the same way. Maybe once we have the slides, I can explain you. So Prisma Access will be like this as well. It is on the cloud. It's a cloud service, basically. So in that, what happens is when you want to access your cloud-based application or let's say a headquarter, so that particular, you will go to that particular Prisma Access, you put your username, password, and all the apps will be visible for you, that what are the things that you can access. Okay. This is basically on premise, like when you have your own physical or virtual device in your organization, and this is cloud service that you are going to get from Palo Alto. Yeah.
Because I have a question. This wildfire, which you told us, it's a malware detection service, right? So I believe it is automatically enabled when we create a policy, or we have to enable it.
You have to enable it in a policy wherein if you want the policy is going to external and it needs to download some of the files, or maybe it is externally that particular policy is going, that traffic is going.
So till the time we will not enable it, it will, if any kind of file we are downloading, it will allow, correct?
Yes. So it will not, until and unless you enable it, basically if it is by default, then in that case it basically it will be applied to all. If you are going to internal file to be accessed, in that case also, then it creates a lot of resource constraints, right? So that is the reason.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Securing the cloud. Now, Prisma, we have a SaaS, we have a cloud, and we have access. Access we have already talked about just now. Cloud is nothing but it has some kind of monitoring. When you have a Prisma cloud, it monitors your VM, it monitors your devices, how whether it's a compliant or not. So many parameters you can set in Prisma cloud to basically you can make it some kind of compliance way, or you are going to continuously monitor the devices or maybe servers or something. SaaS is nothing but it's a SaaS. When you implement SaaS, basically you are going to protect your data inside. Whenever you are developing any application or you're testing it, it should not be basically the DLP will be applied to all the communication, not communication, basically the data. Okay, so it should not get goes to any other way, or basically see whenever we think about any Google cloud vendors, they only protect their infrastructure. They cannot protect your own infrastructures, right? You just go and buy a space in a cloud. Basically whatever the data, whatever the device that you are having, they are not responsible for any kind of protection until and unless you go for their uh, features or their things. Okay, same way, if I want to basically protect our data, we have to take care ourselves, and that is the solution which is given by Palo Alto, which is Prisma SaaS. Okay.
So what exactly the Prisma is?
Prisma is a cloud service, basically.
Okay.
Yes. Okay, now we have something called as Cortex, and we have different product of Cortex, basically. Okay. Now there are some of the communication or some of the features that you can basically use those services or application to basically maintain your you just understand in a way wherein you want to protect the data, or you want to monitor the behavior of your network. At the same time, if you want to create some kind of incident or some kind of alert by that particular services, with the help of Cortex, you can do that. Okay, so there are some of the parts that is there, okay, that you can use of when you are getting the services. And until and unless, like in most of the places, data lake, with the help of data lake, you can create some kind of incidents, because it's a storage of your logs, right? So with the help of logs, you can basically combine or maybe some kind of intelligence you can build with the logs, the pattern of the logs, and you can raise an incident saying that I can see somebody is accessing this of the sensitive application from he's trying to do some kind of port scanning or something. You can basically build those threat intelligence in that with the help of these devices, and basically you can protect it. Okay, there are so many things which is already built in that, and you just need to automate it, or maybe if you have your own intelligence within you that this may attack can happen, you can put those policies, or you can put those intelligence into it, and it start monitoring those behaviors as well. Okay. Okay. Anyone has heard about this single pass architecture or parallel processing? What exactly it is? Anyone knows about that?
In single pass firewall, everything is done to one to one, step by step. On the parallel processing, everything is done in a single pass and exit to the next device.
Nice, super. So basically in single pass, like the traffic enters into firewall, it goes like this, okay, and policy engine, and then it goes like this, something like that. So it passes to from the policy to app ID to user ID to application control to SSL decryption to something. Okay, then it goes exit from the device basically. But in parallel processing, okay, what happens is the traffic or the packet will be divided into 3 parts, and it will be basically processed simultaneously and then it goes and exits out of the firewall. Okay, so how the things will be working? Single pass, first the single pass will come into the picture. Okay, it understands the first traffic, and then the traffic will be divided once it understands that what application it using, what user it is, and then the next time it will be parallel processing. Okay, parallel processing means that particular traffic will be copied into different IDs, or maybe different uh, content ID or app ID and user ID, and it will be passed at the same time. So the resources of that particular firewall will be reduced, and the time which it consumed to process that particular traffic will be reduced as well.
So it means that first time when packet will deliver on firewall, it use single pass architecture, and after that, further in communication, they will use parallel processing.
Yes. Because it needs to understand that particular application or the user first, and then it goes understand it, and as per that, and the parallel processing will be happening at the same time.
Hi,
Okay.
Vikas.
Yeah, go on.
A question. So, as you just said, that the first packet will be a single pass always, right? Okay. Now, in the first packet, you'll be able to understand what is a user ID or what is the app ID. This user ID, app ID, content ID, this will be created after the first packet is passed.
Yes,
Some kind of ID.
because whenever the traffic enters to the firewall, he has no knowledge about what he is going to access it, right? So first he will try to, with the app ID, user ID index, it tries to retrieve the user information. Then from the traffic, it tries to retrieve the application. Then it tries to understand that what he is trying to access. Then only once he understand it, once we create the session table, then after he will be able to understand all these things, and the next traffic will be parallel processing, kind of a thing.
Okay. And now the second question is, when for the second packet, like when the parallel processing is starting, so in that second packet, the same packet will be replicated or copied for user ID, app ID, and content ID to be processed
Yeah,
parallelly.
yeah.
Okay.
So this is just a way to this is just a way to understand you, and there are so many other things will be there as well, which is not been revealed by Palo Alto. Okay, because this is just something which is done by only Palo Alto, so they have not basically described the details of it. But this is just to understand that a copy will be sent, and this will be handled by the individual engines, like the content ID engines, the app ID engine, the user ID engines, like that.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So just actually the question was, the packets don't get fragmented, right? Like they will only be copied.
Yes.
That
Yeah.
is the idea. Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Got it.
Yeah. Okay. Now, yeah, guys, tell me, I have a question for you. What is a control plane and what is a data plane?
So
Simple.
control plane is basically the management plane, wherein the access or the configuration to a particular device is being handled, and data is where the actual traffic is being handled.
Nice. Let's say I have done a telnet. Telnet, I have a done a telnet to the device. What kind of traffic it is?
It is data plane.
Okay. Let's say I have a telnet server over here. Okay. I am doing a telnet to this. Okay. And I am doing a telnet to this. Or SSH. You just understand as SSH. Okay. So doing an SSH to the device, what kind of traffic it is, and doing SSH to the server, which is outside the, or which is going through the firewall, what kind of traffic. Both are data plane or control plane. I'm asking about the scenario 1. This is scenario 2.
In scenario 1, it will be
It'll be a control plane, is it? Or it'll be a data plane? Why it is control plane?
So it's going to manage this firewall.
We are going to manage this firewall.
Yes, sir.
No, I'm just logging, and I'm just logging in. That's all. I'm not doing anything.
Still, sir, SSH protocol is used to access the device.
So it will be a control plane, is it?
Yes, sir.
Let's say if I'm running OSPF in firewall, I have a router over here. I have a router over here. I'm also running OSPF here. I'm also running OSPF here. Control plane, data plane.
We'll use control plane because it basically makes a RIB routing table in the control plane.
Okay, fine. So everyone says it is a control plane, is it?
It should be data plane.
It should be data plane. Okay. I have another scenario. I'm not running OSPF. I'm just building. I have a, let's say, BGP here and BGP here. Okay. So BGP and BGP. Okay. So I'm building a BGP neighborship between these two routers. It's a data plane or control plane?
Control data plane.
Data plane.
It's a data plane.
It will be data plane.
Because forwarding, routing RIB packets like routing information and forwarding information is inside the data plane itself.
Nice. So now we just understand a thumb rule. Okay. Whatever the traffic is for firewall, it always be a control plane. Whether we are doing any configuration, whether we are doing any kind of logins, whether we are running the routing, because it needs to be processed by the firewall itself. Whether we are generating a ping traffic, because he needs to craft that particular traffic and he needs to send out of the device, right? He is using his memory to generate that kind of traffic, or any other device you can take in your scenario. Okay, let's say if I'm accessing a browser, I'm doing google.com, it's a control plane because CPU will be used in this, right? So, or which is something goes through the firewall, it is a data plane. Okay, now nowadays the control plane or management plane or any other plane which is known as basically we used to have control plane, management plane, and data plane. Don't think about it, just control plane and data plane, that's all. Now we have data plane. For that we have a CPUs, and we have what you called as processing unit, and they are only doing it. They have an engine, they are doing it. Okay, so with the traffic which is to the device is control plane, which is going through the device is a data plane. That's all.
So,
okay.
Sorry for interruption. So that telnet to the device, I'm still confused. Is it will come under data plane or control plane?
Yeah, I am telnetting to the device. I'm accessing Palo Alto. So Palo Alto has to respond it. Palo Alto has to craft the traffic and send it to me, right? So that is been done as a control plane. But if you are telnetting to other server which is connected or which is outside the Palo Alto, you are going through. Policy check needs to be done by Palo Alto, that's all. He is not needs to process the SSH request or something. So he just need to check the policy, it allows the connection, forwards the traffic, that's all. Okay.
Sir, still confused in it. Can you please repeat once more?
Okay. So if, let's say, if I'm talking to you, you are processing and you are giving answer to me.
Yeah.
Control plane, right? If I'm talking to you, the other listeners, the other candidates, they are data plane because they are just listening it and just keeping it himself. That's all.
Okay.
So meaning that if the SSH server is outside or external or it is out of the Palo Alto firewall, basically it will be processed, the policy will be processed and it will be allowed through the firewall, which is known as data plane for firewall.
Okay.
It is coming to the firewall is a control plane. That's all.
So that's why I was confused that telnetting to the hardware, I mean Palo Alto, will come in data plane or control plane, because if by default it should not be allowed even to do SSH to the firewall, right?
Yes.
And if I do SSH, the policy will be processed, right?
Yes.
So
correct.
That policy processing should come in data plane.
Yes.
So if I do telnet to the device, again confused that it will come in control plane or data plane.
I'm talking to you. That's what I explained you. I'm talking to you. You are, you have to answer me. Meaning that control plane, you are generating some of the voice from yourself and you are sending to me. You are putting your effort, but others are only listening. That's all, listening mode, right? So we are talking. I'm using my control plane, you are using your control plane, you're generating that particular traffic or sound from yourself, right? So if you are SSHing to the device, it should always be a control plane.
Okay.
But outside, it's a data plane for. Okay, it's a simple thumb rule. You just understand in that way. Okay, even the device is sending logs. Log, who will be generating? The device is generating. Now he's crafting the traffic. Source will be myself, destination is syslog server. I'm sending the traffic to the syslog server, and sending the traffic to syslog server will be done by me, meaning the device. It's a control plane. Right? Fine. Okay. Zero trust architecture. Zero trust architecture meaning that I am not going to trust anyone, but I am the same time I'll be verifying everything. Have you heard about this one? SSO, single sign on. Single sign on is nothing but actually whenever you sign on to your laptop. Okay. See, same ID will be basically used to log into your applications. Like, so let's say if you're logging to ServiceNow or maybe your work, basically, maybe your HR portal or your some other portals in your company. So this SSO, it doesn't trust, meaning that it basically doesn't allow you until and unless you are using the same device. Every time it tries to verify whether you are logging to the same device, whether you have a username password properly, the same username password you're using or not, it always verifies. You try to access your company portal URL from your own PC, like your personal PC or your mobile, it doesn't allow you because it says that device is not registered or it's not organization device, or maybe it will not allow you to log in. So basically zero trust architecture is never trust, always verify. Okay, so it always inspect the traffic which is going out of the organization, which is known as north south traffic, meaning that which is going from down. So how the structure will be, let's say this is a router, it's connected to a firewall. Firewall is connected to some of the core switches. The core switches will be again connected to some access switches. I'm just removing the distribution switches over here. And after that, we have something called as PCs, right? So if somebody is going to basically internet, this is known as north-south traffic. So it is going down to up, right? If something is going like this, east-west traffic from one VLAN to another VLAN, it's called as east-west traffic. So this may be basically internal traffic, and this will be external traffic because going on internet. So inbound, which is coming from outside to inside, outbound, which is going from inside to outside, everything will be inspected. Everything will be verified. Even if you are going from one VLAN to another VLAN, it will be checked basically. This east-west traffic will be coming in the Nexus environment. Okay, and south, not south. Okay, there are now the architecture or what you called as the data center architectures are basically different nowadays. It is not that access layer, distribution layer, parameter layer, or the core layers or something like that. It is not that. It's a layer, two layer basically in data center. Okay, so that is the reason this east west and north south come into the picture basically. Okay, and the Palo Alto has a zero trust architecture. We'll talk about how it is. It actually verifies all your traffic going from inside to inside or inside to outside basically. Okay. Okay. Now, Palo Alto is very much flexible in his architecture, and it will be fall under in any of the conditions. All the solutions are there for firewall Palo Alto. Okay. It has hardware, it has software, it has cloud services. So whatever you need, it has a solution for that. Okay. Now, this is all about the physical devices that we are having in Palo Alto. Okay. Palo Alto has all kind of devices. No matter it is a remote device or a small branch, it goes to a parameter or it goes to a data center basically. Okay, so it has all the device basically in the solution. Okay, now whatever you're seeing in the red, it is going to be and basically it is out of support or out of I guess life or something like that is happening, all the red ones. Okay, now only the physical devices, not virtual devices, only the physical devices supports VCs, that is virtual system. So basically a physical devices can be divided into multiple firewalls, multiple virtual firewalls. Okay, so basically separate logical devices within a single physical device. And this VCs is not possible in your VM devices. No. Okay. Why we are going to do is we have a multiple customer, multiple department, multiple partners or something. So if you have a big device like the 700 series kind of firewalls, you can have multiple virtual systems so that you can separate that particular device. So maybe 700 series, you can declare this one as a different customer, this is partner, this is for department, something like that. You can use it, the virtual devices for different app. Maybe one application, one will be very sensitive application, one for developer, one for testing or something like that. You can do it. So different firewalls for different requirement. You can basically divide that particular firewall into. Now, how many virtual firewall that you can create? It depends on 8, 4, 2, something like that. It depends on the model and the version of it. Okay. Fine. Now, every VM models have their own capabilities. Okay. Now, the more the resources are, the higher the model you can go, and for that you have to pay for that particular licenses. Okay, let's say you are paying the license for VM 700 and you don't have basically this memory, you will not be able to use it, and the basically that particular server, so VM will be installed on that particular top of that server, right? So that server should support this much of bandwidth as well, otherwise there is no use, right? So same way, the more lower the model you go, the lesser the requirement will be. So basically we'll be focused on VM 550. In VM, we don't have license right now for Palo Alto, so we'll be focusing on VM 550 on our courses. Okay, which requires only 4 GB of RAM, 2 cores of CPU, and 32 GB of hard disk space. And it
Sir,
provides.
is that Palo Alto? Sorry to interrupt you, sir.
Go on.
Is it Palo Alto device come up with this VM services?
So you have that particular license. Once you have license, it requires that once you install that particular license, it requires that kind of what you called resources.
Okay, thank you. One more question. In previous slide, you just mentioned the Nexus architecture.
No, Nexus, I was telling nowadays the data center design. You remember the Cisco design that it was 3-tier architectures, core layer, distribution layer, access layer, something like that. But nowadays we have 2 layers of design. Okay. I guess I'm not remembering those layers right now, but this is how basically this is how the west to east traffic and south to north traffic came into the picture.
Okay, that design is called Nexus.
No, Nexus nowadays we
Nexus
have some
technology.
Nexus devices, Nexus switches are coming nowadays,
Yeah,
right?
that's
So
where I'm
confused.
because Nexus was technology.
No,
Thank you,
Nexus
sir.
is not technology. Yeah. Okay, so this is how the VM series or the capabilities that we are having.
So do Palo provide some licenses for the labs also? I mean, specifically for that.
No, they don't provide. You have to pay. Basically, you have to pay for that particular license. They will not provide for lab or something. We don't have, even they have removed, like FortiGate also removed it. FortiGate has licensed, but it doesn't support all the features to be used. It is a very limited one, even that kind of, but in without license also you can do most of the like 90% of the lab you can do it in your non-licensed Palo Alto firewalls as well.
See, hi Vikas. Actually, like when I was enrolling for this course, I was informed that they have a licensed lab for Palo Alto.
I guess maybe we can have a discussion about regarding this one at the last. Okay, we can we can have a discussion on that. Yeah. Okay.
Hello.
Yeah, go on.
Sir, I have a question. That the license, regarding license, how much time valid these license for the validation time?
You are asking about the validity of the license.
Suppose device in my environment, working environment. So they have got. Yeah, that's right.
Okay, so basically you are asking about the license. It depends on how much how you are taking it. It may be 3 years, it may be 1 year, it may be 5 years. So it depends on how you are taking the license from Palo Alto. For testing,
minimum criteria, this is 1 year.
1 year.
Minimum criteria is the 1 year.
1 year or 3 years, I guess. You have to go to renew the license again.
Okay, fine. Thank you.
Okay. So yeah, the CN series devices, CN series will be very small devices. Okay. And those devices will be basically based on the Kubernetes, okay, because Kubernetes nodes are very small or very less resource utilized in their term. So we have like very small devices in them. It also provides the layer 7 visibility application, DNS security, and advanced protection as well. So that series will be something called as CN series. Basically, it's a virtual device and you can place it into the Kubernetes clusters or maybe Kubernetes nodes where you are seeing the traffic.
What is CN?
So CN series, this is the VM series, the virtual devices. This is something called as CN series.
Yeah, that I understand. VM is a virtual machine. What defines the CN?
CN, I think, is for container.
Container nodes, basically.
Okay.
Container, we have something called as in the Kubernetes, right? So, okay. Now we have something called as K2 series devices. K2 series devices will be placed on the towers. Okay. Now, basically, these towers will be placed in the big manufacturing places where you cannot put your access points, right? Access point will not be possible when you have 100 acres of area where the manufacturing plants are there. But at that place as well, we have a network requirement as well. So we have something called as towers. So from their towers, we will be basically access the internet or maybe access the applications inside. If some needs to access, or let's say accounting department is there and they want to access the headquarter, some application, in that case, network is needed, right? So for that reason, we have something called as K2 series firewalls. We will be placing that particular firewall in towers, okay? And where we can do the app ID, antivirus, all those happening, like all those filtering will be happening. And at the same time, you'll be able to access the internet, like filtering of those traffics will be happening, right? And there are other modes. We will not cover this K2 series in our course, because this is just an explanation of it. It's the same way how the firewall will be implementing the policy, will be implementing the app IDs and all those things. Okay. Okay. Now we have something called as Prisma access. Now I was telling, right, the security as a service layer, network as a service layer. So you can take two kind of subscription from them. Okay. When you are taking a subscription as network as a service, so you can use this features basically. Okay. And basically your branches directly will be connected to this services. So whenever they connects to this, then let's say if I'm using IPsec, I'll be so the traffic IPsec will be building a connection with your cloud, or let's say to headquarter. Okay, so you will be going through this access. So at the branch, you don't need any devices, you just need a router, internet connection, and this internet connection will be connected to Prisma Cloud. And from that Prisma Cloud, you have basically the connectivity to data center or any other ways. Okay, and then you goes to internet. Okay, now once you have this security as a layer, you can use SSL decryption, ZNAT, and all those sandboxing, LDLP, DNS security, and all those things. So for that reason, you don't need any kind of you don't need any kind of device in that particular branch or the remote offices. You just need an internet access. That's all.
So, because I have one question, as you mentioned, this Prisma Access have two types of layer services, right? Security and the network, right? Suppose I am working in a kind of Ethernet network only. So, is there any firewall which have a data link layer service or which works only on Ethernet for wireless?
No, I guess to get into the details of that, basically, you need an internet connection to that particular connection to Prisma access. Once you have that particular Prisma access, then only you'll be able to access Ethernet, like only the switches that you have environment and you want to connect to Prisma access. I think it is not possible. You have to have a router or internet connection towards it. Let's say if you want to connect, yeah. So
that I understand. That for the internet there should be a router. Suppose I just need to run my network only on Ethernet wirelessly, so there is no kind of any router.
No.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
So this is all about what needs to be covered today. And today we have understand the firewall fundamentals, and today we have understand the product line of Palo Alto Firewall, what is the architecture, how the traffic flow is, and goes through all the areas in Palo Alto. Okay. So this is all about. If you have any questions, let me know, or else I guess we can give it to Gaurav. Gaurav will take care of that.
Hello, Vikash.
Yeah.
When we get the recording link and lab access link?
Okay, this recording, I guess you will be having, it's YouTube. Basically, it is live on YouTube. You can access this video on YouTube. Okay. And I guess if I talk about the class recordings from the next class, we will be having the recording and you will be having access to that particular portal and you will be able to access that videos as well.
Okay, okay. And lab as well, right?
Lab as well. I guess you might have received the link to access the racks. If you have not received it, maybe you'll receive it.
Not yet, yeah.
Maybe, yeah.
So for the lab, do we need to some like pre-book or something, or we can access anytime?
I guess you don't need to pre-book. It is been accessible anytime. I guess so. From my understanding right now.
And the class daily will use same link, or you will send different link?
I guess I will not be sending any links to you, but you will be access to a portal wherein you will have the same link what I have. So we'll be initiating the same Zoom link and you will be accessing the same Zoom link.
I'm sorry, I need that again for clarity. So next class, how do we access it?
So you will be getting an access to a portal. Okay. So my class will be linked to that particular portal. So once you start that particular Zoom session, it will be connected to my Zoom session and will be connected to the same Zoom link, basically.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello.
Yeah.
Yeah, because actually I joined 1 hour late. So this recording, I think people are going to share today, right?
Yeah, it will be there in
uploading
YouTube.
in the.
It is already there in the YouTube. It is live on YouTube.
This session.
This session, yeah.
Okay, fine then.
Hello.
Yeah.
Can you share that YouTube links where I can get the recording as well as?
Maybe you can go to the Network Kings channel and you go to the live section. You will get this video.
Okay, fine. Thank you.
Thank you.
Tomorrow also we have a.
Yes, we will be having same time. Yeah. Any other questions?
Yes, Vikas, regarding the lab part, you said that we would discuss post this session.
Okay. Okay. So let me just give me a minute. Give me a minute, guys. So regarding that, I guess you can have a word with networking team once. So that will be helpful, I guess, if you can just talk to them once.
Sure, that's not a problem.
Okay. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much for joining today, and have a nice day throughout the day today. And we'll see you tomorrow then.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Okay.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Vikas.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank
you have a
you.
good day. Bye-bye.
Hello.
Anybody saying anything?
Yes, Srikanth, I
Yeah,
would
yeah.
like
Tell me.
to have an information related to the topics of this topic.
It is already covered in the day 0. Basically, once you go to the live, like to the channel, the network is channel, to the live section. I guess last week we have recorded this, and we have covered all the topics which we are going to cover in this course.
Like any PDF material, any handy for us.
Your voice is too low. I am unable to hear you properly.
Like, do we have any PDF format for that, so that it can be handy for us again?
I guess today morning Gaurav has shared one PDF file. Maybe I will do it from my side as well. If you can just download that. And the PDFs and the PPTs and all, I'll be sharing with you once we start the sessions.
Yes,
you will get that. I have just shared it to you. Maybe you can download. The class has already downloaded this book. Okay. Any other questions, guys?
Like, I have a small, I need a small solution.
Yeah, please go on.
Just don't have any prior experience in networking.
You don't have any experience, or you don't have any knowledge?
Just have a subject knowledge on it. I have attended the last 2 classes, like 2 batches for CCMA and CCMP.
Okay.
By a teacher, and it was a package class. And this is my third phase for the firewalls. So I don't have any practical way and like handy approach to all the topics which I have learned. How this can be from
So yeah. So I would suggest you like, to understand the firewall, you should have a basic understanding of networking, like how TCP works, how MAC like ARP works, how a routing protocol works. That's all. So if you have basic fundamentals or a basic idea of networking, there is no problem understanding this. Okay. So it has been covered from the scratch. So you don't need to you don't need to worry about those things. Everything will be understandable for you, and everything will be smoother for you. Don't know to worry about it.
It was like everything I was able to understand. Like these topics which I have seen day to day in my current job role. SaaS, secure access, public clouds, detect and response, orchestration, network traffic, behavioral analytics. These kind of things we used to see in our job.
Yeah, no worries. We'll be covering all those topics with the practical example. Even I'll be including my experience as well, like real-time experience. So I guess there will be no problem understanding those topics as well for you.
Thank you.
Okay, guys, thank you so much. Yeah, I guess